The shoe on the left is the most technically advanced track spike Nike's ever made. The shoe on the right is their most basic. Let's make them race. Before we get into this sprint spike showdown, remember, please like the video and think about subscribing if you like this content and other track related and cycling related videos. Thanks. All right, before we get these out on the track, let's talk about the differences between the two shoes. This is the Nike Rival S. It's the most basic sprint spike they make and probably the best value spike on the market. You can get it for about $60. I've been using a version of this shoe for as long as I've been running. This is the Nike Air Zoom Maxfly. You see this on the feet of Olympic athletes. This is a $180 shoe, 3 times what the Rival S costs. And let's talk about why it costs so much more. The biggest difference, most obviously, is this big air bubble underneath the spike plate. And we'll talk about that in a minute, but there's a couple other features that I want to go through. The big thing that you'll notice on the Rival S is it has about a 3/4 spike plate. That spike plate extends to about mid-foot. It gives it good stiffness in the front, but overall, you see this shoe has a lot of flex. And when you're sprinting, flex means less power is going into the track, less force is going down into the track, so you're not running as efficiently as possible. The Maxfly has a full-length spike plate, and in addition to the spike plate, it has this carbon plate underneath, directly underneath the body of the shoe. That makes it very, very stiff, but it also, the carbon plate also allows for some energy return. What that means is as the shoe flexes when you impact on the track, that carbon plate will bend and then snap back into position, putting more force down into the track, making you more efficient, making you able to transfer as much power as possible into the track. This is controversial. The original version of this shoe was called the Viperfly, and it featured a full-length track spike plate, but this spike plate was actually cut right here, so the front half was cantilevered. And what that allowed was even more energy return. You're basically running on a springboard. The International Track Association, the IAAF, decided that that shoe was unfair, provided too much of an advantage, and they banned that shoe. And this is the new version. You can see it's kind of got this weird sort of gap right here. That's right where that cut in that spike plate would have happened. They've had to basically extend it for the length of the shoe, take that cut out. You get this kind of awkward section here, but it makes it a legal shoe. So let's talk about this air bubble, the biggest feature on this shoe. It's a standard air bubble, but it's filled with what I believe is Nike React foam, so it really gives you a rebound. When your foot hits, you feel that bubble compress and you feel it pop back. It really gives you a good push forward. It's unlike any other shoe I've ever felt. It's really an unusual feel. This also has some more foam running to the back. I'm not sure what the idea on that is. On a sprint spike, really your heel, nothing beyond the spike plate should ever touch the ground. It might be some way to help that energy return in the carbon plate be more effective. But the bubble is a big difference in the shoe. One thing that does surprise me about it on the spike plate, first, these are removable spikes, and that's a bit unusual in high-level track shoes. Oftentimes you'll see fixed pins. This does, I guess, having them removable makes it a little bit more versatile. If you're not an elite athlete where you're getting these for free, you can switch them out when you wear down the spikes, which gives you a little bit more value for your $180. The other thing that surprised me, if you look at the spike pattern, it's almost identical to the cheaper shoe. And that's a bit unusual because on some of the other real elite shoes that Nike's made, they've gone to really different spike patterns. One of the things that they often do is take out this middle spike. You see a lot of elite shoes do not have this middle spike. Besides Pumas, which will run 4 spikes across the middle, and Allyson Felix shoes that she had custom made also have a middle spike, but a lot of other top-level track spikes do not have this middle spike right here. So it's a bit unusual to see that. It's a bit unusual to see them basically replicating the spike pattern from their most basic shoe, but that's the way they did it. So let's get these out on the track and see how they perform. When I've run with other elite level spikes, the biggest thing that I've noticed in the difference is in the start, how how hard you can push off, how quickly and efficiently you can get off the line. So I want to compare these directly and see what happens. So let's warm up a bit and then we'll hit the track. So start with the Rival S. I know this shoe well. I know what to expect from it. Good grip from the track, good stability off the line. It's a pretty predictable shoe, good solid shoe, good solid start. So let's lace up the Maxfly and see how they compare. One of the things I like about these shoes is the laces have kind of a serrated or pinked edge, and it really helps to lock in the laces, get a good tight tie on the laces. There's no slippage. No problem in getting the shoes as tight as you need them to run as fast as you need to run. On the start, one of the things I've noticed on these and other top-end shoes is not so much the air bubble, it's the lightness and the stiffness. You really get extra propulsion with the stiffness in the sole, and it really helps you drive through. These shoes really grab quickly. It's a shoe that you really have to have your technique dialed in, because they lock in the track the instant you touch the ground, and you can really hurt yourself if you're not ready for that. Alright, let's get these shoes out on the track and see how they perform over 100 meters. First up is going to be the Rival S. This is my control group. It'll set a baseline that we can compare the faster shoes to. So we're coming up close to the line, and it should be done 13.8. It's not blazing fast, but if you look at my videos from last year, that's about where I am for 100 meters. So here comes the Maxfly. You can see and hear the difference. Faster turnover on the stride. You can hear those air bubbles popping and compressing. And 13.37, half a second faster over 100 meters. That's a big time gap over such a small distance. Back on the track, day 2, after those great results in the first 100 meters. I'm going to try a 200 today, see if we can duplicate those results. We're here at Custer Stadium on the north side of Milwaukee. This is the first place I ever ran competitive track back in like 4th, 5th grade, Milwaukee Rec. They've redone the whole facility since I used to run here. It's probably the first time I've been here since about 6th grade. Really excited to be out here, really excited to get these shoes another shot. 200 meters is one of my favorite distances to run. Combination of speed, strength, endurance, and the feeling of coming off that turn at full speed onto the straight. It's one of the best feelings in track. I think it's a real great test for this shoes and this comparison. We'll see if that half second distance in the 100 meters translates into the 200. So let's get ready. And here we go with the Rival S. Out good around the turn. This is a 6-lane track, so I'm running in the outer lanes to kind of replicate what would be the middle lanes on an 8-lane track. Coming off the turn pretty strongly here, and hitting the straightaway. Starting to tighten up a little bit. It's been a little while since I've run a 200, and I was surprised at how weak I felt coming down the straight. Really lost a lot of energy in my legs. 29.1 is not a good time. I'm really disappointed in that time. So that was the Rival S with a 200. Felt good for about 150, 175 meters. I felt my legs get a little heavy. So now let's switch out to the Maxfly, see if we could improve on that time. Really not happy with that last time, 29 seconds for the 200, but it gives us a lot to improve on with the Maxfly. If you watch my videos from last year, I was in the 27-second range for the 200, so to be a 1.5 seconds slower is really kind of surprising and disappointing, but let's see what we can do with the Maxfly. There are some people that complain that this shoe is a little unstable on the turn. I haven't found that exactly, but it does take some practice to run these shoes on the turn. I think it's a combination of the taller stack height, the propulsion from the carbon and the air bubble, and just the aggressive grippiness of the shoe. it is a different sensation coming around the turn, and you do need to work on it a little bit before you really turn it up full speed on the turn. And this is where I started to dive with the Rival S. I felt a little bit better boost with these shoes. 28.2, still not a good time, but a full second faster with the Maxfly. All right, so there you have it. 200 with the Max Flies. I don't have the official time on it just yet, but sure felt faster. Got to that point where my legs kind of died in the first 200, and I just felt an extra lift. Shoes was propelling me forward. So, I mean, these shoes are legit. They do what they claim that they're gonna do. Are they worth $180? It's hard to say. I mean, if I had that much money to spend on shoes, probably drop 60 on a new Rival S, maybe another 60 on a Rival D, and then have 60 extra dollars to go spend on beer or something. Or maybe get a pair of track spikes and a nice pair of runners. But they do what they're advertised. What's interesting in the Olympics is there was only 2 world records set this past Olympics, both in the 400 meter hurdles, men's and women's. Neither of those winners, Sidney McLaughlin or Warhelm for the men, wore these shoes. Warhelm wears Pumas, McLaughlin wears New Balance. But interestingly enough, second place in both of those races, Rai Benjamin and Delilah Muhammad, did wear these shoes, and both of them actually came in under the previous world record, so it obviously worked for them. And there were other gold medal winners that wore these shoes, most notably Elaine Thompson, hurrah, doubled in the 1 and 200. She wore these shoes, so I mean, on world-class level, they definitely showed their worth. And even for an amateur runner like me, out on public tracks, they make a difference. I don't know if it's a $180 difference, but they do make a difference, and they're incredible shoes. The technology is just remarkable. They're so much fun to wear. Really happy to have had the opportunity to do that.